So, hi guys. I thought I would do just a comparison, just to see how different clear image zoom is on the A7R IV and the RX10 Mark IV versus some software. So a lot of people might know now you've got the enhanced mode in Adobe Raw. It's also in Lightroom and Photoshop. And basically you can take a 20 megapixel image and create it into an 80 megapixel image using some kind of wizardry. And obviously you've got the clear image zoom excuse me, on the Sonys. So for example, now I'm in at 400 millimeters on the 100-400, and I've programmed in a custom button for clear image zoom when I'm in video or JPEGs. So that means I can actually zoom in. On video at the moment, it's a bit. And you can go 1.5 times on video at full frame. And I'll try it again with Super 35 in a second, see what that does. But as you can see here, we zoomed in quite a bit. So that's quite helpful using video. With the stills side of things, I'm going to take a few photos and you'll be able to see the distance difference between it being zoomed in. You also have digital zoom, which is obviously just basically cropping. And clear image zoom is upscaling with obviously some magic in there as well. There are some other programs out there as well, so I'm going to try and get a couple of free trials on those, and I shall do some comparisons with the photos. Unfortunately, I've just got some coins there because they're obviously stamped or printed or whatever with texture. So I thought it'd be quite a good test. At the moment I'm around about 10 feet away from the coins. As if I come back, you'll see that's at 400mm. If I back it out to 100, as you can see, I'm quite a bit away from it. So anyway, I'm going to go and mess around and try it and see what I can do. I'll swap over to the RX10 in a minute as well. But first of all, I'm just going to stop recording for a sec. I'll go to Super 35, which is a cropping anyway on the sensor, and we shall see what that does with the clear image zoom. So just remember, we can do that 1.5 times with clear image zoom. So this is at in Super 35, which is basically a crop in already, and we can actually go to where we were a second ago, which is even closer, but we can go up to 2 times. As you can see there, we're even closer. So it looks quite a usable piece of kit. Obviously I'm on a tripod at the minute and it's moving around a bit, so sorry about the vibrations. But yeah, it looks like for having a little bit of extra zoom, especially with video, it's quite a usable thing to have. Anyway, I'm going to stop recording, I'm going to take a few photos, and they're going to swap over to the RX10 Mark IV, do exactly the same sort of thing, see what the difference is. And here we have 3 images from the A7R IV, shot at 400mm with no enhancement at all, clear image zoom. So basically this is the 400mm, just cropping in, is what it is. And then we've got 1.5 times. Okay. And then we've got it properly zoomed in, and that is 2 times there. But as you can see here, this is where the depth of field starts to drop off really. You know, this is where the full frame side of thing comes in. Your depth of field is shallowed naturally. This was shot closer. That's why I moved it back, to kind of give you a similar look to the RX10, because this being shot this close shows you the real difference. I was roughly at 400. Well, I was roughly at the same distance to give me roughly the same size as the RX10. So even though the RX10 was at 600, I was at 400, but I was closer, so it kind of gave me a similar size. But as you can see here, because I was closer, my depth of field is shallower. So over here on the right hand side, you'll see the coins are pretty much out of focus. The pence part of here is nice and sharp. The 93 is sharp, but as the coin is leaning to the left, around the coin slightly, it's starting to basically become soft over here. And then obviously you can see the coins are now out of focus. A couple of sharp spots here, but everything else is kind of shallow basically. So the depth of field is very different, even at f8. So it just shows you the difference between full frame and a 1-inch sensor, or even APS-C. There is quite a huge difference, and that's why mobile phone cameras are so successful, because they've got a smaller sensor. They use software to blur backgrounds and stuff like that, but end of the day, it gives pretty much everybody a chance to get quite a good photo without too much stress and too much knowledge. And that's the difference between when you move on to a full frame or a medium format in digital or film. You suddenly need the technical advancements and knowledge to actually get the good shots. The smaller the sensor, the easier it is to get at the end of the day. Anyway, so as you can see here, I've moved back now a bit, so everything's relatively sharp, but as you can see, the depth of field drops off quite quickly just halfway through the coins. So this is at hang on, let's get it the right way around. There you go. That is sort of 1.5, and this is 2 times on the clear image zoom, which actually I was quite impressed. It's actually pretty good on the A7R IV, but the A7R IV is a newer camera than the RX10, so technological advancements in software and everything is obviously better. So quite impressed with that. That's pretty good. You know, so that works quite well. So we're going to save them. Now we're going to move on to the Topaz Gigapixel. So I've started up Gigapixel now, and it's downloaded. I've just opened one image. It's downloading optimized models apparently. I'm not sure what that is. So at the moment it's got standard. There you go. So we're doubling the size, which is what the enhanced does. We've got all these different settings here. Remove blur, so it's quite usable. We don't necessarily want to go 50% zoom, so we can kind of see the sharpness between left and right. We can see the difference between the original and not. There we go. Problem is it has to process every time you move the image, which is quite annoying. I found that with denoise, Topaz denoise as well. So that's the original. That looks quite good, but suppress noise. It does start to look a little bit too sharp, maybe. Not sure. This is. Let's have a look at that. What's the difference between? What's this? Oh, so best for any image that is not. Okay. How do I get rid of that? Oh, I think I've broken it. We have broken the software. So, okay, it's fine now. I've gone back to standard. So, as you can see down here on the left-hand side, it's showing the original pixels, 61 megapixels, up to twice the size, basically, twice the resolution. It's quite incredible how it's done it. And what I'll do is I will save the image, and then we can compare the clear image zoom version versus the Adobe super resolution version versus this. Blimey, it's a mouthful. So we shall. You're currently using a free trial. Your image will be saved with a watermark. That's fine. Okay. We can do maximum JPEG. We want it in Adobe RGB because that's how it was taken. So it's now saving. I'll come back to it in a second. So I thought I'd just come back a sec. I'd paused the recording for a sec, but this was what would annoy me. So Photoshop on the raw like super resolution, happens within 5 seconds. It's very good, but this seems to take quite a long time. You know, and my PC is a beast. It's not underpowered or anything. It's got a new graphics card in it, 12 gig, you know, pretty fast graphics card, running an i9 processor, 64 gig of RAM, and 2 fast M2 drives on board. So it's not like my PC is slow. And you know, this is taking a while. So this for me is a no. You know, straight away this program, it might be great and it might be fine for a lot of people, especially if you're using lower resolutions. We'll try it again in a minute with the RX10 Mark IV images, which are only 20 megapixels to start with. Obviously we're making images go from 61 megapixels up to, I think it was is it 240? Too late in the night to do mathematics in my head. Yeah, 240 megapixels, what I thought it was. So yeah, we're turning an image into that, but with Photoshop it's done in seconds with no issues whatsoever. So why is this program taking such a long time? I don't know. I don't think it's because it's a trial version, because it's actually the real program, isn't it? You can just unlock it basically if you decide you want to buy it. But if it takes this long just to process one image, that's a no-go for me, for work-wise and stuff like that. So Photoshop is a win straight away for me at the moment, unless there's a huge difference in it. Don't know, but we shall see. I'll be back in a sec. It's not even a third of the way yet, so I shan't bore you any longer just chatting away. So I'll be back shortly. And 5 minutes later, it's still not done. So unless it's not, let's have a look actually. What's it doing? Performance-wise, it's hardly using the GPU, which is weird. It's using 66% of the CPU. It's using 16.2 gigabytes of RAM, and the GPU 14%. So yeah, it's hardly utilising half of it. So I don't know if that's the program's not set up. I'll have a look in a sec. Okay, we're in the Gigapixel program now with the RX10 image. As you can see there, original on the right, it has sharpened it up quite a bit on the left. Original on the left, enhanced version on the right. So yeah, it has done some sharpening. It doesn't look quite as crazy as it did on the A7R IV. So that may be, you know, a reason why, you know. You've got suppressed noises at 50% and remove blur at 50%. So I don't know what happens if you turn that right down without messing around too much. But I'm actually going to have a look at the preferences here. And then see what it does with performance CPU. Here we go. Now we can stick it to my graphics card. Allowed memory consumption high. So now I've adjusted that, it may be quite a bit quicker. So let's do that. So anyway, that's basically, I'm just going to leave it as it was because it looks pretty good, and we're just going to click save. Maximum JPEG, yep, and let's see the difference in speed. Or not. I don't know. There we go. Okay, that's the difference. So utilising the graphics card rather than just the processor, it basically just has done quite a bit. There you go, done. So that's, yeah, okay, that's what I was doing wrong. So if we were to so back in Photoshop now, just open 3 images side by side. So I'm just going to flick through them because there's not really enough space to do side by sides exactly. But this is the enhanced version. So this is at 102% zoom in, basically. So the original image looks like that. So as we come in to 102%, they're all going to be slightly different because for some reason it just doesn't like giving you the same measurements and without messing about, you know. And I'd be pretty happy with that. You know, we're looking at this at 100%, you know, zoomed in at 100% in one area. So you'd never look at an image like this anyway. But you think of how small a 20p piece is in the real world anyway, and you know, we've lost most of the image here. And this is an enhanced image. This is off the RX10, by the way, so I've ditched the A7R IV now. I'm just going to go for the most common sort of kind of camera size in megapixels, so 20, 24, something like that for the moment, just to see. So and this is where I utilise it the most. I rarely need to up the size of my images on a 61 megapixel camera. There's kind of no real point as such. Unless I'm doing pixel shift, which is obviously up to 240 megapixels, lots of clever overlaying and stuff like that. So, you know, this works quite nicely, especially if you want a bit more of a zoom. You know, for example, say if that's our original image at 600 millimeters, and I just want to have a bit more of a usable image, I can do that without cropping in and losing too much. You know, so that's really, really helpful. So there we go. So that's the enhanced one. This is the Adobe Raw Enhance. I think it's really, really good. Some people can't stand doing this sort of stuff, so it's totally up to you. This is just, it's there. So if you have Photoshop, it's built in. It's really, really handy, especially if you're utilising, say, a 20 megapixel-ish camera and you want to enhance an image of some sort. So then we go on to the Gigapixel version. And I wonder if I can actually do this. There we go. Let's move that over to there. And then we can have, I'll show the 20 and the 19, there we go. We are now on to the Gigapixel one, which has obviously got the watermark on it because it's just the trial. But as you can see, they're pretty good. I still prefer the look of the Adobe one. I just think it looks a little bit more realistic. This is slightly sharper because it's had sharpening applied. The Adobe one hasn't. It's literally straight out of the camera, and I've just literally, you know, brightened it up slightly. But other than that, there's no sharpening being applied or anything like that. So as you can see there, it looks pretty good. You know, so I'll be pretty happy with both of those. And then we have the clear image zoom version. So this is in camera on the RX10. And remember this, like I said before, this is on this camera around about 4 to 5 year old technology, and you can see the difference there. So very, very sort of computer looking, if you know what I mean. It does look computer generated from its age, if you know what I mean. I think these two here on the left are miles and miles better. So, you know, when people have said to me, oh, I'll use the clear image zoom, I think the clear image zoom is brilliant. If you haven't got software like this and you want to use it and go, you know, everything, go for it. I mean, it's still usable and it still gives good quality images, but at the moment it's now showing its age, I think, with the technical side of things pushing forward with a bit more software integration and things like that. And with the Adobe version, I think the Adobe version looks the best, personally. This is my thought. Imagine, you know, if I start adding some sharpening and stuff to that one, which I'll do in a second actually, it could be quite a bit different. The Gigapixel one, great, and now I've worked out how to speed it up with a faster processing, but it still takes longer than the Adobe version. Out of camera with the clear image zoom is pretty good, and if let's cut that as well. Right guys, so we have the RX10 Mark IV shot here. Going for this one mainly because this is the one that I would have enhanced. I wouldn't bother with the A7R IV because 61 megapixels is mental anyway. So, and if I did go to 80 megapixels from these shots here, I would probably crop in, they'd probably utilise it as cropping anyway, so it'd be back down to 20 anyway. So it kind of, you kind of like enhance and then crop back in and save it back to roughly what it would have been originally. So it gives you that much extra zoom as such, a little bit of croppability. So, like I say, this shot here is from Adobe. So the Adobe one, Adobe Enhance through Image Raw, and I think it works really well. It's very quick, 5 seconds. And then we're on to the Gigapixel version, which now I've set the program to utilize the GPU, as in the graphics card, and maximum RAM if need be. It does it much faster, but still wasn't as quick as I thought. Personally, I still think the Adobe one looks best. This one doesn't look bad at all. And you've got to remember as well, is if you don't use Photoshop and you have got Gigapixel, there's nothing wrong with it, because at the end of the day, unless you've got two photos side by side like this, you're never going to see the difference. And it's kind of the same with the clear image zoom. Clear image zoom does work quite well, you know, and I have used it a couple of times, but then now I've got this, which is much better. You can see the realism difference in the images. You know, there is a massive difference between that and that, really. If you think about it, you know, it's a different file, but I haven't changed the settings. The lighting's not changed, you know. So, you know, for me, I will go for the enhanced version. It definitely works better. Gigapixel, yeah, if you want to pay the money for it and you don't use something like Photoshop, obviously I use it daily, Photoshop. I have a subscription for it, you know, and it's all paid for, and you know, the updates and everything like that. So, you know, I'm very happy, and I've used Photoshop for sort of 15, 16, 17 years now. So, you know, I know how to use the program quickly, efficiently, and at least, you know, with the enhanced thing, it only takes a couple of seconds to do it, and it's very clever. Gigapixel, as we've seen, once you've got the program set up correctly, it is quite quick, but Adobe's still faster. And then we got onto the clear image zoom. It does work. Personally, I probably wouldn't have cropped in any more than that. You know, I think it looks quite good like that, that sort of size. But you can get away with quite a bit more by the looks of it on these two programs here. But that's not bad for something straight out of camera. But like I said, it's an old technology now. It's 4 years old. I don't know if it's just been carried over from the RX10 Mark III, so it's another couple of years on top of that. So we don't know if the software in camera had been updated at all. But, you know, end of the day, it's there. And like I say, I do use the clear image zoom for video. If I want to get a bit closer with something, you've got it. So for me, I have it engaged all the time, but I shoot raw photos, so I've only ever really got 24 to 600. But when I push video to start recording, I've got the 600mm plus the teleconverter, which I think is the F1, issues 1.4 times extra, which does really help, you know. And then obviously if you're shooting in 4K, you can then crop in later as well if you need a bit more zoom again, and obviously output it to 1080p, or you can upscale again. So there are ways around things. So I just thought I'd show you that, guys. And I think, you know, the more you look at the RX10 clear image zoom on the right hand side, actually looks quite nice. This one here, if I zoom it out a bit, and that one there, if I zoom it out a bit, you know, oh, is it going to look much different now? They all look pretty good. I think the colours are better, but that could have been just the way it rendered it when it saved it as a JPEG. But definitely once you'll start zooming in more, and if you're pushing the cropping, it's not ideal, I don't think, with the clear image zoom, but the other two definitely better. For me, I just shoot RAW 99% of the time anyway, so having the enhanced part for when you're editing, it's quite helpful, because in theory you've kind of got more than one image to play with. You know, if we get rid of put these back up here. So if we take the original image, so if you've got this one, for example, and then you look at this one, there's quite a big difference in the amount you can see in the image. So if you've got this one here, and you shot this shot and you thought, oh damn it, I wish I'd backed out slightly. Well, this one here you had, so you've gone into whatever, and now because you've enhanced it, yeah, you can crop in, blah blah blah, but it gives you this much usability of the image. So I might decide, you know, I'll crop in over here and have the coin to one side, or I could have it over here, compared to, I haven't really got much room because I'm already off the shot. So there are other uses for it, you know, and I think, you know, depending on what you're doing and how much you, you know, what you're trying to achieve, you know, this is still great. And to be honest, now we're looking at this one alone, you look at it and you think it's absolutely fine. It's only when you bring in these other ones that they start to make it look slightly better, slightly sharper, a little bit clearer, and that's, you know, that's the difference. But again, it's up to you what you want to use. I'm not telling you, it's just my opinion. You know, feel free. Like, a lot of people don't use editing software very much. Some people just like shoot JPEGs and just upload them. You know, some people might want to try this program or try that program, and feel free. You know, at the end of the day, they're there. They've got the free trials and things like that, and it, you know, they work brilliantly. So it's totally up to you. Personally, I think the Adobe one for me works best because I'm utilising the program anyway. It's obviously included in the program. I haven't got to buy any other software to make it work. For me, it's much quicker. You know, if you're utilising it for more than one image or 2 or 3 images, it's going to work in the long run. It's going to be quicker. You know, so for me, I think personally, definitely the Adobe enhanced version is for me. Like, I know some people who use Gigapixel and they love it. Absolutely cool. Feel free to use it. You know, at the end of the day, they've got that, but they're not Photoshop users. So, you know, that's the thing. You pick your programs you like to use, or the ones you've learnt to use over the years. And like I say, it does give you a few more image options if you enhance the image later in Photoshop or whatever you're going to use, because it gives you different cropping angles and space. So anyway, don't forget to click the subscribe button, a little notification bell as well. Let me know which one you use. Is there any more out there that you utilise? I mean, I've just looked at 2. So obviously Adobe RAW Enhance and Topaz Gigapixel, because I've tried Topaz noise reduction before. So, but I'm sure there's probably other programs out there that people are using and they probably think, yep, it works really well for them. Totally cool. It's your money, your decisions, and if it's, like say, it's something you like to use and you already know how to use it, that's the kind of thing you're going to stick with, especially for efficiency, because you can get things done a bit quicker. Anyway, I shall see you soon.